We are now starting this evening's programming. I see most of our founders in the front row, maybe not all of them. Come on down, founders. Everyone, please take a seat. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate everyone for trying to keep us on time because we have a lot of great stuff to cover here this evening. Okay, I'm going to do a big welcome to the first ever Techstars Columbus Demo Day. OH? All right, good. I've covered the bases. If you don't know me, I'm Tim Grace. I'm the managing director of Techstars Columbus, and it is my great privilege to stand up here right now and represent the work of so many that brought us to this day. You'll see up here, there are 12 companies you guys are all going to meet here today, and I cannot wait to introduce you to them. And so I am going to try to get up and get out of here as fast as I can so we can get on to the true stars of the show. But there is one thing, I'm going to mostly spend time giving thanks up here, but I kind of want to start before I get into specifics, just saying thank you to Columbus and the Columbus startup ecosystem. I cannot tell you how many times in the last few months someone's come up to me and said, Tim, Techstars coming to Columbus is like a watershed moment for this ecosystem. And while I like to hear that, I actually think it's truly just a reflection of the years of momentum that have been built up in this community before Techstars took root here. And I truly believe that this moment does not happen without all of you. So give yourselves a round of applause for all you've done to get us here. I'm going to get into now some of the more specific thank yous. I first want to start with my team, Danny, Gabby, Mary. Honestly, so when I took this job in September, I had a few priority items that I knew I needed to get done. And high on that list was I wanted the best program leaders at Techstars to come to Columbus and be a part of this program, and I succeeded. These women have a combined 8+ experience running programs at Techstars in communities like Austin and Toronto and Chicago and LA. And honestly, I like their leadership has had an immense impact on me and on every single founder, mentor, and community member that they have touched during this program. So thank you to them, and they deserve a round of applause. Also want to acknowledge our EIRs. So EIRs at Techstars are essentially super mentors. We match them up with companies at the beginning of the program, and they spend countless hours in the trenches with our companies working on things like go-to-market strategy and product development and fundraising, and often just being a shoulder to cry on, for our founders. Alan, who maybe many of you know here in the community, longtime technical leader here in Columbus. I know I've learned a tremendous amount from him personally during his time in the program. George is a healthcare founder and product leader. And Drashay is a old and dear friend of mine and an alum of Techstars Chicago. And I know that most of the founders here have come to rely on him for a ton of stuff during the program. So thank you to those three gentlemen for being part of the journey. Speaking of mentors, mentors are the secret sauce of Techstars. While I like to believe that me, Danny, Gabby, Mary, that we have a bunch of experience to impart upon all of the founders, the reality is we have not seen it all, but our mentors have. And I'm excited to say that we've had over 150 mentors raise their hand for this program, both here and across the globe, to support our founders doing one-on-ones, office hours, workshops, opening up their networks to connect our founders to people to build relationships that are going to be meaningful to the growth of those companies. So I want to thank everyone here who's been a mentor. And also, if you haven't been and you're interested in being a mentor, come find me or any of my team members after the event has ended. So again, thank you, mentors. So if the mentors are the backbone of a Techstars program, the backbone for our founders are their friends and family. And during this program, we've had parents, in-laws, spouses, partners, kids, pets, all come to Columbus for this 13-week program to spend time and be supportive of the founders that are here. And in fact, I think we may have a Techstars first in this cohort. I believe we may have the youngest co-founder in the history of Techstars spend all 13 weeks, attending every single workshop and program, etc. Meet 2-month-old Darwin, who has been with us across. He has been a wonderful presence for us throughout the program, and you may hear a little bit more about Darwin later. I also want to thank our global network partners. The companies that you see up here have dedicated significant time, resources, products, services to enhance the growth of our companies, and I'm very grateful to them for doing that. Thank you. The last thing that I want to stand up here and do before I hand the mic off is thank the most important partner that we have here at Techstars Columbus. There's a reason why it's powered by the Ohio State University, and Ohio State has been an incredible partner for us throughout this program. Ratmir and Shireen are going to come up here in a moment and talk more about, what that partnership means to them. But to me, Ohio State has essentially lifted us up on their shoulders. And Ratmir's vision, Peter Moller's conviction to get this program into existence, and Shireen's absolute dogged commitment to supporting our founders has absolutely been an inspiration to me and our founders. And I also want to acknowledge that there's a bunch of other people inside of the OSU ecosystem that have really helped us stand this program up. Cheryl Turnbull, Mandy Malat, Arnab Nandi, Paul Reeder. There are countless folks that have been involved in this journey at Ohio State, and it's been a pleasure to work with them. Okay. I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to hand the mic to Ratmir Timashev to give some remarks and reflections on the program.
Thank you, Tim. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming over. Great seeing everybody. So much excitement in the audience. They only gave me 2 minutes. I have like 3 stories to tell you about. But first, I truly believe that we have the best team assembled, the awesome team of Danny and Gabby and Alan. We do have the best team. By the way, Techstars has like 50 franchises globally, and I think we have truly the best team. But Techstars Columbus is part of the larger initiative, which we call the Center for Software Innovation, which is Ohio State University program. And Shireen is going to talk about it after me briefly. And the goal for that program is for the vision, the idea is to help Columbus and Ohio State and Central Ohio to become the next Silicon Valley or the next high-tech mecca. It's ambitious, but we have to believe in it. I always like to quote Steve Jobs: only the crazy people that can think that they can change the world are the ones that do. That's my favorite phrase from Steve Jobs. But So I was thinking, what does it mean next Silicon Valley? I remember when I was 25 years ago, I decided to go to Silicon Valley. I was based in Columbus, and we were building our first startup with my partner, and we decided to go to Silicon Valley and kind of understand what does it mean. So, and we go. I remember in San Francisco, we went to a bar, and back then San Francisco was the first city that prohibited smoking, and back then I was still smoking. I don't smoke anymore, but so I go outside smoking, and I hear this guy is trying to pick up this beautiful lady, and he's like 20, she's like 19, and he's bragging about his startup, like not about the car, not about watches. I don't know. Like he's just bragging about. So when in Columbus, what does it mean to become Silicon Valley? When in Columbus, we will be talking about startups all the time in all the bars. Then we become Silicon Valley, right? So we've been trying to achieve this goal for a while, but this is a big jump forward. All right. So, and another story I wanted to share is uh, people often ask me, what does it take to create a successful technology company? And I always say it's simple, it's easy. It's only three things: be at the right time, at the right place, and create a brilliant product. And by the way, you don't need to be the first. It's a myth that you have to be the first. Google, Facebook, they were not the first. The iPhone wasn't the first smartphone. Google wasn't the first search engine, and Facebook wasn't the first. So you just have to be at the right time, at the right place, meaning like, and Columbus, for example, and create a brilliant product. So today we are gonna observe. Yeah, it's easy to say, but it's kind of a magic that comes from founders to get these three things together, right? It's a magic. It's total magic. Like people say, okay, you told me it's three things, but how do I do that? I don't know. It's magic, right? So today we are gonna observe 12 startups that are gonna present the magic that they've been doing. It's similar to giving a birth to a baby. So today we're gonna see 12 babies being born in front of our eyes in the last 3 months, and it's a total magic how they are doing that. So I'm super excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Ratmir. Thank you for all of your support, your team, and their support of this ecosystem and continuing to build it out. I am Shireen Agarwal, the Executive Director for the Center for Software Innovation. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. A huge kind of key piece of everything that you've heard, everything that you'll see in this entire room is, at the core of it, is people, and people being the main component of this fuel that is building and growing this amazing ecosystem that is super unique. I am, born and raised in Ohio, spent a lot of time out in Silicon Valley, but when I was coming back to Ohio, one of the things that I was most struck by was how collaborative, supportive, and genuine people are to saying, I'm going to open that door for you. I'm going to make that connection for you. And you can see that through this entire program from day one. All of you have come out, you've gone into your networks, you've made connections for these founders, you've come out to mentor, you've given your time, your energy, and it shows. And we're so thankful for that. And for this Techstars team, Tim, Danny, Gabby, all of the rest of the team that they've built out, they've basically founded this program, and all the founders that came as well took that step to say, I'm going to join a brand new program. Thank you for trusting us, for coming out, and then for this entire community for continuing to do what you've always done, which is show up and help, which is such a core component to, as we think about how this ecosystem can continue to grow, how we're growing out the Center for Software Innovation, how we think about programs that we're all building, and how Techstars Columbus is going to continue to grow. So thank you so much. And let's get on with the show and let's get to the demos. So I'm going to hand it over to our first to go, Blomso. Now it's done. There we go. Yeah.
Most of us today don't think about what we eat. From the soil it grows in to the people who grow it. We are so far removed from the growing process that most of us don't know that farming is in crisis today. I witnessed firsthand this $210 billion problem. Take, for example, my neighbor Rob, the owner and operator of a 3,000 acre family farm. He, this year, has to spend $350,000 to fertilize his fields. He also has to contract out a third-party soil tester, which is costly and only does one sample per acre, leaving the vast majority of his soil unread. This year, farmers like Rob will waste 55% of the fertilizer applied on their field, leading to ecological devastation and the draining of their own wallet. Blomso provides a solution that leverages AI, novel hardware integrations, and software to reduce fertilizer usage by 35%. Which in the case of farmer Rob is $110,000 of savings every single year, practically doubling his profit margins and leaving significantly less chemicals within the ground. So at Blomso, we utilize our biomedical sensing technology to take soil samples from 1 per acre to every cubic inch, leaving no part of a farmer's field unread. Farmers like Rob will implement our sensors onto the back of their tractors, where as it traverses a field, we are able to take live reads of key soil parameters. We take this data and upload it to our software, where we live heat map it for farmers to show hotspots and shortages of key soil elements throughout a farmer's field. But by utilizing our novel data collection technique, we are able to train our AI model Tilly, a large language model that is able to give field-specific and tailored results to every farmer in America. By utilizing Tilly, we are able to save the nearly 140,000 farms at risk of going under every single year due to increasing fertilizer prices and operational expenses. This has excited our customers as we have secured 15,000 acres of pilot land. Alongside that, we have been working diligently with one of our key partners, the Ohio Department of Agriculture, to monitor and reduce fertilizer runoff into Ohio waterways. Thank you. Thank you. So if you want to help me, Caleb, a farming native, an ag inventor with 2 patents under my belt, save rural America and the most important industry to all of our existence, come check out Blomso, where we make farming practical and profitable. Thank you. I would also like to invite to the stage the one and only Tim Grace.
It's been a privilege. He killed it, right, y'all? Yeah. Okay, so I'm here to ask you a few questions about Blomso. So for context, I also grew up on a family farm. My family still farms. We have a 2,000 acre corn and soybean farm in Illinois. So this is very personal to me. And one of the things you talked about was the precision in which you guys can measure, soil quality. And I'm curious, like, how you guys think about, taking the precision of the measurement and turning that into how you actually you turn that precision into the actual fertilization and spreading the fertilizer on fields. I mean, amazing. Cannot wait. Already calling my family saying we need the Blomso immediately. So another thing you talked about was partnerships. That you had. You mentioned the partnership with Ohio Department of Agriculture. I'm curious, like, what other partnerships are in the pipeline for you guys?
We are actually, I'm happy to announce today that we are partnering with Nestle alongside.
Just to clarify, that's the Nestle with the $260 billion market cap. That's the one. Okay. I don't know how many more amazing things that you can tell us here tonight, Caleb, but I have one more question. So one of the things that farmers care most about are yields. So yields is essentially like the amount of product that you can harvest from your fields on a yearly basis. And basically your entire business as a farmer depends on yield, and it's a very volatile thing. It kind of goes up and down every year. So I'm curious, like, if you guys have thought on ways that Blomso kind of can support yield optimization for farmers as well. Thank you for all that you've built and for being an incredible participant in this inaugural Techstars Columbus program. Thank you.
Thank you.
When was the last time you overpaid for something? Do you remember the annoying feeling, especially when your friends go on to tell you they found the same thing 50% cheaper elsewhere? Welcome to the day-to-day life of an electric vehicle driver. EV drivers spend a lifetime downloading apps and stuffing their wallets with charging cards from up to 800 different providers just to find a good price for their energy. Prices can differ by up to 100%, so if you don't pay attention, you will overpay. Drivers, however, are not the only ones being impacted. Charge point operators are suffering from huge margin erosion and underutilized charging stations. Operators are forced to sell their energy to third-party providers to attract more EV drivers, and are doing all of this below market value. What if I told you that we have found the solution? My name is Tamara, and together with Issam, Stefano, and Mario, we have built Carica. We bring over 40 years of experience across mobility, marketplace, and fintech. Carica is the world's first EV charging marketplace. We connect EV drivers directly with charge point operators, creating a direct sales channel and removing the need for energy resale entirely. EV drivers therefore never overspend on their energy, and charge point operators can dynamically adjust their pricing based on demand and increase utilization. However, we're taking it one step further. Later this year, we are going to introduce the Carica Cashback Debit Card. EV drivers can save even more, And charge point operators, for the first time ever, can collaborate with retailers and restaurants nearby. Imagine this, you're out charging your EV whilst shopping at Kroger or enjoying a Happy Meal at McDonald's, and at the same time, you get 10% off your charging session. Since launching in Europe, we've had tremendous success. We have over 6,000 registered users. We're covering 70% of the charging network in Europe. That is 420,000 charging stations. And we've achieved all of this without any marketing spend. We are backed by amazing investors, both here in the US and over in Europe, all believing in a brighter future of electric vehicles. So where does this leave us all? Carica is more than just a marketplace. Carica is redefining the way and how we charge. We are empowering EV drivers, we're supporting charge point operators, and most importantly, we're driving innovation in a market that is in such desperate need for convenience without the compromise. Together, we can take public charging to the next level. Let's redefine the way we charge with Carica. Now, welcome Drisha on stage. He's been an amazing mentor for us here at Techstars and a serial co-founder himself. So.
Thank you so much for the past 3 months. It's kind of been a pleasure and an honor, honestly, for me to be able to watch your journey, to be able to kind of work with the entire Carica team. I personally do not have an EV.
Yet.
Fair. But I think the biggest thing that's been really interesting for me to learn is about kind of the expansion of the market and really where EVs are going. I'd love to kind of share with the audience when it comes to charging and or the kind of filling a car. What is the difference between, say, a conventional car and an EV?
Yeah, so imagine every time you fill up your car at a petrol station, you go out there, and for every single petrol station, you will have to download that app. And in order for you to get the best price. If you can't be bothered with that hustle every time downloading an app and stuffing a wallet and all of that, then you would have to use an aggregator app, which essentially compiles all the petrol stations under one roof. However, they need to live as well. So they charge $1 more per gallon, let's say. And that is exactly the problem EV drivers are facing. They either pay the best price and accept fragmentation, or they say, you know what, no, I can't be bothered with this. I'm just going to use an aggregator and I pay more. And this is what Carica is for. One platform, and you use only one thing, and you still get the best price. So convenience without a compromise.
Okay, that's helpful. You kind of spoke to an aggregator. Obviously, kind of looking at the market here in the US, I think we primarily have Teslas.
Yeah.
Kind of Elon Musk just scattered those throughout the US. Can you tell me a little bit about that? How is the market kind of here different versus the one you have in Europe, and how is that going to evolve?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So probably most of the time you see a Tesla driving past you here in the US. And you're right, like Tesla is absolutely dominating the market here in the US. 6 out of 10 chargers in the US are Tesla superchargers. And before I go into the deep depths of this question, there's a key difference between the European market and the US market.
Mm-hmm.
Probably I can count on 2 hands the amount of charge point operators we have here in the US.
Yeah.
Compared to Europe, we have more than 800. So that's the kind of fragmentation we're talking about. So we can already see early indicators here in the US. The US market is still a bit more in its infancy compared to Europe. However, we do think in 3 to 4 years' time, we will be having similar issues. And well, luckily, we're here solving the problem over in Europe and are here to rescue you when you get to that stage. So don't worry about that.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. We're really excited to see the continued growth of Carica. Thank you.
Thank you. For everyone that wants to learn more about Carica or in general more about electric vehicles, come find us over there. We show you a live demo and you can get to know us as a team as well. So thank you.
Some of my fondest memories while growing up were with my favorite uncle. He would sit me on his motorcycle, and my feet would be dangling as we raced around the neighborhood. Over the past few years, his life has completely changed. He went from being the strong head of the household to being somebody who needs help with basic things like brushing his teeth and getting dressed. And he's not alone. My uncle is one of 2.5 million Americans who've been diagnosed with the fastest growing incurable brain disease called Parkinson's. My name is Anwar. I'm the CEO and founder of Pedal Data. As a software engineer with 15 years experience at companies like HP and Google and a degree from MIT, I've been inspired to build a wearable foot sensor for a better way to track and treat this disease. Today's clinical practice relies on visual assessments and verbal feedback, which can be subjective and unreliable when a person goes in to see the patient once every 6 months or once a year. Our sensors allow clinicians to monitor patient activity in between visits. The sensors are easy to use, they're non-invasive. Place them in the shoe and walk around for about 2 or 3 minutes a day to capture the data that we need. This data allows clinicians to update treatment plans, provide feedback to patients in order to slow and stop disease progression. With 90% accuracy in our algorithms, we're changing the way Parkinson's is being managed. We have 13 patents pending. We've just received FDA approval while here at Techstars. Thank you. Thank you. And since we're using existing billing codes that are accepted by all major insurance companies, the software is free for patients and no additional cost to physicians. Our commercial rollout is just getting started. We have verbal commitments from Stanford University and the Mayo Clinic. We're partnering with top neurologists like Dr. Montesser, who's here with us today, and who is spearheading a 100-person clinical trial at Harvard University. Thank you, doctor. So if you're a clinician or know someone with Parkinson's, please come talk to us for a better way to manage this disease. At Pedal Data, we're empowering Parkinson's patients to reclaim their lives. Thank you. I'd like to welcome Dr. Montesser to the stage. Thank you, Doctor, for flying in to Columbus this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you guys. This is really amazing. So as you know, you're an engineer, I'm a medical doctor, so it's really unique to work together. But what really intrigued me in collaborating with you was just that, you're bringing more data to clinical practice. And we are really busy in clinic, and, we don't have really enough time to see patients more often. So I think whatever can, bring more data to help
Yeah.
disease and knowing the progression of these would be really helpful.
Yeah. No, we as you know, we spend a lot of time in optimizing the technology that we're using. To simplify it, it's essentially a Dr. Scholl's insole with a Fitbit built inside of it. So yeah, it sounds really
It's
simple.
really cool.
But we spent a lot of time in measuring really precisely some of these different angles, and we've used medical science to figure out which of these parameters are predictive in order to slow disease progression. We've also spent a lot of time on battery life. We don't have to charge this thing every single night like some devices that we have, right?
That's really helpful for the
Yep.
patient.
The battery lasts about 6 months, just in time for the next patient visit.
That's great. And can you tell me how this can actually help clinicians?
Absolutely, absolutely. As you mentioned, clinicians are busy. I think they have, more to do than the time. So we've spent a lot of time in automating some of these processes, capturing the data that clinicians care about, and providing this as a weekly kind of update so clinicians can automate feedback back to patients. And this creates kind of a positive feedback cycle. And that's key in order to slow down disease progression.
Yeah, that would be really helpful because we don't really have time to see all the patients on a regular basis. So
Absolutely.
the government has any plans to, kind of help researchers and also clinicians with Parkinson's disease and also, entrepreneurs like you?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, just last week, there was a bill that was passed in the US Senate, S.1064. It was passed unanimously. So it's now on the US President's desk. It's going to be passed as a law, which makes slowing down and stopping disease progression for Parkinson's a national priority. That's huge.
That's really good.
Mhm.
Yeah, that happened for Alzheimer's disease, almost like, 10 years ago. And now we have like a clinical trial that
Yeah.
offers the medication. So hopefully we can expect to see something like that for Parkinson anytime soon.
Exactly.
And, that makes a lot of sense to me. As you know, it's very impactful to help patients in any way and their families. I mean, all of us have families with this disease. So that's what, makes us going. But I want to know that, what's your vision? What's your motivation to build this and, go forward with it?
Yeah, great question, doctor. As you know, this is really personal for me. You've heard the story about my uncle. I've also been working with a colleague and a friend of mine, Joe Drake. He's been successful in slowing his disease progression down by almost 6 years, which is a phenomenal achievement. So we're continuing to collaborate and learn from each other. But our goal is to have this as a clinical standard so that any patient who's been diagnosed early can use these tools and continue to live a healthy, happy, and productive life.
Cheers to that.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Layla.
Hi, my name is Katie, and I am the founder of Seek. Over 84 million women are dying from something that most of us consume regularly. It's legal, it's affordable, and it's easily accessible. We have it at birthday parties, we have it at concerts, and we use it to celebrate big wins at work. The thing that I'm talking about is alcohol. The obvious problem here is that more women are dying from alcohol-related conditions than ever in history. The bigger problem, which we're building to solve at Seek, is that most women don't want to stop drinking. They just want to cut back, the same way they want to cut back on processed food, sugar, and other things that we know aren't good for us, but still find their way into our diets from time to time. This is why we've developed the first at-home lab test that measures how alcohol impacts women's health. With Seek, women get to monitor how alcohol impacts their health the same way they use fitness trackers to monitor things like their heart rate, glucose levels, and menstrual cycle. All you need to do is go to our website, take a short 4-question quiz to personalize your panel, and we'll send you a test kit. It takes 10 minutes to test at home, and you'll receive your results in a week, packaged in a way that's easy to understand, even if you've never gotten lab work done before. I founded Seek because I had alcohol-related symptoms that I couldn't solve within the existing healthcare system, despite the fact that I booked dozens of specialist appointments and spent thousands of dollars on medical bills. I'm building Seek to help all women with different alcohol-related symptoms and health goals, since this looks a little bit different for each of us. With Seek, women get to focus on the health areas they care about in relation to drinking, to monitor for early indicators of alcohol-related disease, and feel their best in the process. Over the past 3 months, our team built the first production-ready version of our product, setting ourselves up to execute on the user journey roadmap that we started to map out 10 months ago. We have started a highly sought-after beta test with over 40 women and have already started to see real behavioral changes. We've landed early brand partnerships with female-founded companies sold in Target and featured in the New York Times, and we've gained over 7,000 followers on social media in less than 5 months, and even made a TikTok go viral. We launched, thank you for that. We launched for pre-order last week. Our initial sales goal was 10K, and as of today, we've reached over $14,000 in initial sales. I would love if everyone in the audience could share a Seek with at least one woman in your life today. Maybe she's noticed that a few glasses of wine impact her sleep more than they used to. Maybe she thinks that alcohol could be the root behind her gut-related issues and she wants to investigate further. Or maybe she just wants to stop night sweats during menopause. She's tried everything else and nothing has worked. Whatever the reason, Seek is here for her. And I welcome to the stage Trishay Menyon, a serial entrepreneur within the consumer tech space.
It's been a whirlwind, huh? Past couple months.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. It's been a real pleasure working with you for the past 3 months. I don't think I've ever met a founder that's more connected, linked, and truly understands not only the problem but the consumer and the solution that you're trying to build. It's been very exciting and impressive to watch over the past 3 months. You've obviously got an incredible background. There's a fair amount of science here. There's a fair amount of kind of really understanding what's going on. Who are you building Seek with?
Yeah, so I think when I first started to work on Seek, obviously I have my own experience in different alcohol-related symptoms I had that I've discussed, but I know that this is a little bit different for every woman. So we built our advisory board of clinicians and scientists who developed our test based on the health areas that women wanted to focus on in relation to alcohol. OBGYN, cardiology, sleep medicine. We also have a genetic and alcohol-related disease expert. They come from UCLA Health, Mount Sinai in New York City, Penn, and Rutgers.
I've heard of some of those. That's awesome. Cool. I mean, it's been really cool not only to see that science really get incorporated into it. Thankfully, my wife was actually able to be a part of your beta test, and it was really exciting to see that. We saw that you'd kind of set it up in order where each of your users can purchase one of these. Have you considered a membership? It feels like something that can really benefit from that for the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. So with this initial launch for pre-order, we're offering significant discounts on retesting, but we'll tier out a membership model shortly after launch, which will include up to 20% off for a retest a year. The reason that we didn't want to launch with it is because we've also been A/B testing some other resources from women behind the scene through partnerships with non-alcoholic drink brands. We plan to incorporate exciting webinars, in-person events that are educational and both fun. So everything from mocktail making classes to fertility, menopause, sleep educational webinars and resources.
Okay, that's a good amount. I think one of the challenges when it comes to consumer businesses is obviously reaching your audience and making sure that everyone in the world ideally has access to this, or at least all the women have access to this. How are you thinking about that? How are you thinking about the growth and reaching as many women as possible?
Yeah, so in the near term, it's definitely been through partnerships. As I've mentioned, we've done a handful of different partnerships already with brands within the non-alcoholic space. Next week, we have our first event in New York City with the founder of Three Spirit, which is a venture-backed non-alcoholic drink brand. Also, the founder of Club Pillar, which is a new sober dating app. With one of the celebrity endorsers is one of the Real Housewives. So really, positioning ourselves like alongside those D2C lifestyle, wellness, women's focused brands first and foremost. The second thing I'll say is that we've already had some initial conversations with the partnerships team over at Target. I had my first call with a women's health clinic based in New York City yesterday. So in terms of like expanding reach, we're exploring all of that as well.
Wow, that's exciting. I mean, I can definitely attest when I got the opportunity to hand out some beta tests to some folks that I just a lot of people kind of clamoring for this experience. So thank you so much for building something that's really needed.
Thank you so much, Trishay.
I want to talk today about a hobgoblin that lives in your IT department. It's causing you a lot of problems. It is freaking out your business teams because it's disrupting their day to day. I want to talk to you about the $150 billion that are being spent this year alone on system integration. I'm Ryan, and my co-founder Rob and I have a combined nearly 4 decades of experience in enterprise software. Most of that time has been spent as consultants, charging people a lot of money to deliver system integrations that they can't or won't do on their own. But the party's over. Integration is exactly the kind of work that is ideal to be done by AI. And so we decided to make it happen ourselves. It's inevitable, and we're going to do it for ourselves. Software systems need to talk to one another. That's called integration. This is true at the simple consumer level. For example, the app you use on your phone to book a yoga class integrates to the system your gym uses for scheduling. But it's also true at the scale of enterprise IT. Integration is the glue that holds our modern tech-driven world together and can be extremely valuable if it's done well. But here is the rub. Integration is hard. It's technical, it's complicated, and it's never ending. And this is true whether you hire consultants or you pay the opportunity cost to use your on-staff engineers to get it done. Most teams think an integration project will take 3 months. It usually takes something like 9, and oftentimes can even go over a year. Businesses need to move faster than that. You need to move faster than that. And now you can. Doohickey is an AI-powered platform that helps you build any integration instantly. You talk to it, it'll talk to you. Mid-conversation, you can have it adjust how it talks to you. Ask it to simplify a technical term that you don't understand, or even teach you what the technical term means. It works with you to build an integration in hours or days instead of months or years. And since AI never sleeps, it'll monitor that integration for you for problems 24/7. It'll even suggest fixes for the problems. It takes care of integration for you so you can focus on the other challenges in your business. Now, I can hear what a whole bunch of people in this room are thinking right now. There is no way that AI can do this. ChatGPT makes stuff up all the time, right? We're building this business on the back of an existing services business where we've used these techniques ourselves to deliver integrations to 25 different systems that service over 260 individual end user accounts. We've proven that we can do this as consultants, and now we are productizing it for scale. And today, I'm super excited that we're going to be able to announce that we've opened up the waitlist for doohickey.ai, the first ever conversational self-service approach to delivering system integrations. It's a game changer for solving one of IT's biggest unsolved problems. And if you're as excited about this as we are, you can sign up at doohickey.ai and you can come talk to me after the event. Thank you. And now I'd like to welcome up a very familiar face in our community, Ryan Frederick.
Great to see you in this environment on the stage.
Absolutely, thanks for being up here.
So IT systems have been getting connected for a while. It happens, it's happening. Ugly in many cases, as you illustrated.
Mm-hmm.
How is Doohickey AI going to do it in a different, better manner moving forward?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's been a problem for a pretty long time, and it kind of seems like it should be solved by now, right? So we took a very different approach to how we solve this problem. Most platforms that exist to solve this today exist to help you build integrations easier. And we instead said, how do we take the trusted partner consultant experience and scale that infinitely? So the modern standard for these integration platforms today is called low code. And the idea is that they give you a set of Legos and a visual canvas to assemble those Legos together, and that's how you build an integration. And sure, it's easier than coding, but it largely fails to deliver on the promises to really speed this up and make it easier, especially in the enterprise. And so we're taking an approach that instead of starting with a blank page that kind of overwhelms the user and requires them to still figure a lot of things out, you start with a conversation. So it's more akin to a human interaction, and it's more like the consultant experience that users actually want. They just oftentimes can't afford.
Yeah, that makes sense. So making integrations smart and intelligent to a degree.
Yeah, exactly.
th- the one of the problems with integrations over time has been the fact that integrations are plumbing, right? Behind the scenes. They don't really get interfaced with. Users don't, users experience them, but unwittingly are experiencing integration as part of using a product.
Mhm.
So how do you get companies to value and appreciate integrations more as part of what you're doing with Doohickey?
It's a great question. So everything you do in tech should either make you more money or save you money. Integration can do both, but let's talk about where it actually costs you more money, which is bad. In the worst cases, integration can actually double what it costs you to implement a new software system. And even in the mid market, that can be hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more, per project. And the problem is, it's not an option. Software systems have to be integrated, or they can't really deliver on the full value of what their promises are. And so, integration that becomes even a little bit of a problem for you turns into a tax for the business. So if we could reduce the cost of integration by 90% or more, that's meaningful cash that stays in the business, and it's cash that can be used for more strategic investments.
Yeah, cool. Like it. The challenge with many startups, and you're going to experience this, is the space you're going after is complicated, messy. There's lots of different integrations of different types, sizes, et cetera, even in places where there's some standardization around APIs inside of a company's integration infrastructure, if you will. So how do you approach this without boiling the ocean and trying to solve everybody's integration problem and have a little bit of focus to what you're doing?
Yeah, as much as I'd love to tell you that we can build any integration for any system for any customer, we do have.
And you're not willing to say that right now and admit that?
Well, not yet. We do have a focus. This is where we're going to start, but that is the big opportunity, and that is what we're building toward. So where we're starting is use cases in retail and supply chain, and more specifically, any system that's involved in processing orders. So things like commerce platforms, ERPs, and warehouse systems. We have a lot of deep expertise there already that we can apply, and we know that the qualities of integration in that space are transferable to other areas of business, broadly speaking. And so while that is where we are starting today, the road to a very large company does leave retail somewhere shortly down the road here.
Congrats.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hey everyone, my name is Gleb, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Aspect Health, where we develop a digital health service for women's metabolic health. But before I tell you more about Aspect, I want to first share a story that profoundly changed my life. During my childhood, I had a hormonal imbalance that made me morbidly obese. At the age of 10, my parents took me to the doctor, and he told me that I would never be able to have kids. I didn't want to accept this reality, and I promised myself that I'm going to change it. So at the age of 15, I went to a medical university and I started immersing myself into the world of science and medicine. I even started publishing papers on hormonal and metabolic health, and I was able to resolve my personal health issues. At that point, I got inspired by the idea of trying to find more people who go through something similar and help them. I got an additional degree in molecular biology and met my co-founder, Elad. He developed the first wearable for Nike and the whole weight loss program for Noom. Together, we set out to address a precious problem of women's metabolic health. Today, society mostly borrows solutions that were developed from men and apply them to women without acknowledging a unique female's biology. At Aspect, we are changing that, and we start with the condition called PCOS. Polycystic ovary syndrome is the most common hormonal disorder impacting 1 in 10 women in the US. Women with PCOS have 90% infertility rate, 80% obesity rate, and the root cause of their disorder is insulin resistance, which is an indicator of poor metabolic health. At Aspect, we started the program from providing them with an at-home hormonal test to measure levels of their hormones. Then we collect data from various wearables, including continuous glucose monitors, to understand what actually triggers insulin resistance in each and every case. For some women, it will be more about their menstrual cycle. For some, it will be about nutrition, and for some, it will be about their stress levels. We then use all of this data to feed it into our ML model so it is capable of providing a very precise recommendations to a particular individual. So far, our product showed amazing results. We have 10 times better retention than we see on average in the market. Most importantly, 80% of our clients report a meaningful reduction in symptoms after just second month in the program. We've been slowly but surely growing over the last year, and specifically in the last 4 months, we more than doubled our monthly revenue. And currently we stand, and thank you. And currently we stand at $24,000 in monthly revenue, and we're ready to go even further. We raised $1 million in pre-seed funding from various investors, including Techstars, CEO of Wired Tech Magazine, and co-founders of Flow Health, which is the world's leading app for women's health. We're excited to carry this momentum forward, and we are on the path to change the way we treat women's metabolic health, as it's not the same as men's. Thank you. I'm excited to invite Tim back.
It's me again. Congrats.
Thank
That
you.
was amazing. It's been such a privilege to watch the journey for you and Elad, building all the momentum you have so far with Aspect. There's one question I know you guys get asked a lot, and that is, you are two men building a women's health business. I would love to hear your take on how you've addressed that when folks have raised that with you.
Yeah, that's a good question. One man and one kid. That's quite a combo. First, I would say we acknowledge this problem, and the way we're trying to solve it right now is most of our employees are females. So we have the important female look on the marketing initiatives and the product by hiring females in the team. Moving forward, we want to find a third co-founder who will bring not only female look on things, but also a medical expertise. And we're taking our time for that, because introducing a third co-founder is an important decision, as you know. So we hope we will close this position till the end of the year.
Well, I would say consider that if you are a incredible female clinician that's out here in the audience, maybe come find Gleb.
I'll be right in the corner.
All right. So another thing that I think is pretty obvious from your pitch is that you have grown pretty substantially through direct to consumer as your main distribution channel. Curious, how you're thinking about whether you're going to continue to invest, primarily in that as a distribution method, or if you're considering, other paths of growth.
Yeah, our go-to-market strategy has been informed primarily by our experience, and specifically my experience of my co-founder Elad at Noom. So Noom is one of the most successful behavior modification companies, and early on they did an important mistake that nearly killed the company, which is they went to B2B too early, and basically as an early stage startup, you need to iterate a lot, and when you start talking to B2Bs, they most often ask you to stop iterating while they're checking all the documents and everything. So at Aspect, we want to first accumulate the data supporting our efficacy through going directly to the consumer, and then we're going to use this data to shorten these sales cycles with B2B. So we start from B2C, but we're going to transition to B2B probably closer to Series A or Series B.
Awesome. Makes sense. Love the focus. Okay, last question. I know that this is another one I know that you guys get asked a fair amount, is that, there's the potential that maybe PCOS isn't seen as a large enough market for building a large venture scale business. Curious how you have thought about that potential, sort of objection or perspective, and how do you, kind of what's your vision for the future of Aspect?
Yeah, it's always hard to predict which market is going to grow significantly, which is not. What we can see is that 1 in 10 women in the US is affected by PCOS. 1 in 10 is a lot, but we still recognize that we want to see these adjacent markets and have plans to expand further. For us, it's going to be primarily perimenopause and menopause, specifically weight loss during these periods of life for women. The root cause of weight loss during this time of life for women is insulin resistance, which is the core, basically, focus of our product. And that's why we feel very comfortable expanding further to perimenopause and menopause.
Awesome. So proud of you for killing it up here today.
Thank you for all the mentorship.
I forgot. Clearly. Okay, so we are halfway through. And I've been to enough of these that I know that you guys all need a moment right now to just stand up. So you're all going to stand up right now. And you can do one of two things. If you're so motivated, do some jumping jacks. Like literally like 10 seconds of look at this, look at the founders, or just stretch like so. All right, I'm going to. Amazing. Now you have juices. I see babies flying in the air. It's like amazing. You just needed this moment to let the blood flow a little bit. And now we're going to keep going. That's it. We don't have time to break much more than that. So I'm so excited to turn the mic over to Greg from Currents.
That is the sound that my wife and I have heard ever since we got our rice cooker. And like you, we got tired of it pretty quickly. In trying to change it, I first went to Google and then ChatGPT. The results sucked. It kept asking me for information that I just don't keep on the top of my head. Like, what's the make, the model number, the SKU? Are you kidding me? What even is that? And it's the same experience whether it's my rice cooker, car, or the dozens of other things we have in our home. It's overwhelming. In fact, nearly 40% of households are overwhelmed by the things that they own. I'm Craig, and together with my co-founder Cole, we built Currents to tackle this very problem. Prior to Currents, we built and implemented solutions at startups and Fortune 500 companies. And we happen to be brothers too. Product support today is frustrating and inconsistent. Feeling like the information is likely out there, but just not easily within reach. Why should trying to figure out how to turn the song off on this rice cooker feel like such a burden? Our mission with Currents is to change this altogether. For the first time, product support is as simple as pointing your phone camera at the thing you need help with and having a conversational assistant guide you through it. Afterwards, you can add it to your inventory, where Currents will automatically keep track of its value, warranty status, and even alert you of maintenance and recalls, all in the background. We started by supporting just 300 electronics, but our users kept demanding more. They wanted this capability for all the electronics, vehicles, and appliances in their home. So over the past 3 months, we've grown to support more than 500 million products in Currents. We're automatically aggregating product information from across the ecosystem, from the owner's manual to our data partners like eBay, Refresh Tech, VinData, and more, so that next time you need a filter for your fridge and you don't know its make, model number, or part number for it, it's as easy as asking Currents, and we'll tell you what you need and how to do it. Today, well over 1,000 users have found us by word of mouth. We're just getting started. So if you're having an issue with one or many of your things, download the Currents app today for iOS, or be one of the many that are demanding that we support Android by joining our waitlist. We'd love to show you how Currents can help make owning things easier. Thanks so much for listening. I'd now like to welcome to the stage Josh Verhulst, Chief Growth Officer at Refresh Tech. Josh, great to see you. Great to have you out in Columbus.
Likewise, my friend. Nicely done. It's a pleasure to be here. Just getting started, I wanted to say just quickly how awesome it's been to watch you and Cole to this point. How much you guys have accomplished in just the short time frame that I've known you is just phenomenal. So kudos to you guys. Secondly, what I'll say is I've been in the secondary space for things for several years at this point. Firstly, just as a vocation, working at companies like eBay and StockX, but also just as a personal hobby of mine. And from that perspective, what I'll say is what you guys have built, what you're continuing to build at this point, is not only super relevant to the modern consumer, but it's going to add a ton of value to those that decide to use it.
Thanks for saying that.
Absolutely. All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Fire away.
All right, so first question, great presentation, by the way. Probably should have started with that. One thing I didn't pull from the Prezzo was how you guys plan on generating cash for the business. Can you talk about the business model a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So we see two main channels here. First is in the form of affiliate revenue. This is the parts and consumables that your things need, right? Second is what we're really excited to unlock from our discovery during Techstars with retailers and manufacturers.
Gotcha. Tell me more about that.
Retailers are faced with an annual $750 billion problem. Pretty small problem, right? And this comes in the form of product returns. Right now, consumers are often returning products that they just can't quite figure out how to set up or how to use. And 72% of those consumers have stated that they'd be less likely to return these products if they just had better post-purchase support.
Tell me more.
Well, I'd say for the manufacturers too, from what we've learned in Techstars with manufacturers is that they are oftentimes spending up to 90% of their customer support time answering questions that could be addressed from the owner's manual. And they're spending upwards of $5 per question just to answer these questions. And what they really want is just to have a deeper connection with their customer, learn what they like and don't like, so they just can build better product.
Got it. Got it. Makes a lot of sense. So if I'm understanding this correctly, I'm Josh Verhulst. I go into an Ace Hardware. I am not very handy. I'll be the first to admit that. As long as I have currents with me, I can simply ask questions for my soon-to-be woes with that purchase, and it'll help me.
Yeah, so if you buy that power drill, you don't need the owner's manual. We got it for you. And everything else you might need on questions along the way, we got you.
I love it. Love it. All right, let's change modes here. Let's talk about customer acquisition strategy. What does that look like for the business?
Well, you saw the unfortunate nature of product support today. It's Googling and sometimes ChatGPT. We plan to meet our audience where they are. They're out there Googling these questions, so we want to be the top Google search result to answer those questions.
Got it. So that's an SEO play, if I'm understanding that.
Sure.
Is there a cost associated with that?
I'd say the good news on this front is that there's not a lot of competition out there when it comes to how do I turn the song off on this Zeroshi NS-LGC05.
Point taken. All right, I got one last question for you.
Sure, fire away.
So there's a video played early on in the presentation. I'm a currents user. That is a feature that I did not know existed. Can you tell us more about that?
It actually didn't exist until today, where we're launching that feature. It just went live as I walked on stage. So you'll just have to update your app and or download the Currents app for iOS.
I will do that for sure.
Thanks so much for coming out, Josh.
Thanks
Great
for
to have
having
you.
me, man.
Hello, everybody. Oh, how some people say howdy. My name is Daniel Kornev. I'm CEO and founder of CentOS. We built an AI operating system for every organization. In 2022, ChatGPT created a breakthrough, and that spearheaded an AI transformation wave. Just this year alone, companies going to spend more than $40 billion on its adoption. And it's going to grow over $150 billion by end of 2027. And yet, ChatGPT and all other generative AI technologies, they bring us just incremental value. Yeah, it gives us a chance to enhance our performance, but no, we still have to do the actual thing by ourselves. And it has absolutely no clue how our organizational processes work. And I mean, if it doesn't understand how they work, we won't be able to delegate majority of work to AI. Now, most of my time I spent in consumer software companies like Microsoft and Google, and most of our interaction with users there is automated. But for the majority of other businesses, it's not true. People are still involved at every step of value chain. So if you are a leader of a customer experience organization, what you care about is your business processes have zero defects and your people, your employees, are doing stuff reliably. Well, if you look at all of these problems, you understand that in reality, you have three different worlds. First of all, you gave instructions to your people 3 months ago, and that's thing number one. Then second, they have somehow to make those instructions happen. And of course, they invent something along the way. And three, the third world is a vision of ideal process that you have that is not actually happening. And because we have gaps between all of the three worlds, a company that has more than $1 billion flowing through business processes is losing on operational inefficiencies and delays from $20 to $50 million annually. And this is precisely what we are working on at Centus. We are here to build an AI operating system for enterprise organizations so that they would no longer lose money on this inefficiency. And this is how our proprietary software works. We just screencasted it a few days ago. So first, we give software to outline and map out people, businesses, and processes, and figure out where the inefficiencies are coming from in your real business processes. Then we give tools to delegate work to our AI agents that can work with myriads of software systems that you have in your companies. Then our autonomous AI agents control all of the web applications that are deployed or used by your company using our own self-learning RPA-to-detail process. And then, at last but not least, we provide a tool to monitor how your hybrid workforce of humans and AI agents are working together on your business processes to close the gap between your ideal reality and the fact how things are getting done. At Centus, our goal is to build a system that will unlock from $20 billion to $200 billion of efficiency to our customers. And I'm actually super happy to say that one of these customers is sitting here today. He'll be later at Q&A stage. And he's our first design partner, VistaJet. Our general focus is on enterprise companies. And later on, we will also expand to integration companies to increase and grow our distribution channels. My team consists of leading AI researchers, engineers, and product people with experience at Microsoft and Google, not mentioning my advisors who also worked for Cohere, Google, Apple, and even UiPath. And together as our team, I believe we are best positioned to drive this AI revolution at the inflection point of information work. Today, I'm very thrilled to announce that we are opening waitlist organizational leaders in all companies, those who want to use our AI operating system as a part in their work. And if you are as excited as me about our mission, first, join our waitlist at centus.ai, and second, come find me later and let's talk. Thank you very much. And now let me bring on stage Mikhail Kirsanov, CTO of the company VistaJet, our first design partner. Thank you. Okay, Michael, first of all, thank you so much for coming here from Florida to us here today at Demo Day. I'm very, very happy that you're here today. And I know that you're the CTO of a company that has more than 5,000 employees across the globe. You're a very busy person. So what brought you here? Why you decided to spend time with us here today?
Hey, Daniel. Actually, one of our flight operations center is located here in Columbus.
Woo!
With a lot of workplaces, a lot of people involved in the process. And here in other locations, we have over 300 client service reps who are processing, handling client orders every day. with over $1 billion of revenue flowing each year through this process. And the process is manual due to high complexity and local regulation in different countries. And it's a nightmare in terms of trying to automate it. But first time in history, we can actually solve this thanks to generative AI, and I'm very passionate about it. But we need not only solve the problem in the moment as is, but we also need to put the managers in control. So we need to provide them with the tools so they can monitor and evolve the processes. And we essentially need a SaaS tool for managers like Salesforce for hybrid human and AI agents involved into handling the processes. And this software doesn't exist. And that's why we're excited to partner with Sentius to roll out this system and improve our EBITDA. So, Daniel, can you give it to us?
Well, yes, it is a big pleasure. And not just for you. Our goal is to enable every company that wants to enhance its workforce with AI agents to help them. And we specifically built not just a team of people who know a few things about AI, but AI researchers, engineers, and product people to build this AI operating system for enterprises.
Fantastic, Daniel. Can you elaborate on your research capabilities and why you believe it's important for this stuff?
Sure. So generative AI is a very fresh thing for brains of most of us here. And the stuff we built, we call it infinite context window. It's actually a beta memory for large language models. Now, the thing is, large language models, they have two big problems. First, they hallucinate a lot. And second, it's hard to rely upon them when you want to ask them to do complex tasks. And the technology we built, surprisingly, addresses both of these problems. And we've got a breakthrough in a way. We got published at NeurIPS. We've got published at AAAI. This is some of the top AI peer-reviewed research conferences in the world. Nobody yet, even at OpenAI at Google, managed to beat our accomplishments. And when I think about it, and I remember words of Ratmir, that you need to be in the right place, in the right time, and build a wonderful, fantastic product. And what my research folks created is truly fantastic.
That's pretty impressive. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Mike, for coming and flying here. If you want to learn more, come later there in that corner. All of our startups are here, us included. Thank you very much.
I'm sure that the vast majority of us here have at least weighed the pros and cons of owning an electric vehicle. And what's everybody's primary concern? Well, how the heck would I charge this car? And what many of us don't realize until we actually purchase an EV is that outside of maybe 1 to 2 long road trips a year, you may never have to go to a refueling station again. Instead, you can install your own charging station at your house and plug into it every single night. It becomes a wonderful experience. But what if you don't own a home? What if you're like the other 40 million Americans that are renters and live in an apartment complex? I'm Corey, I'm the founder of Plug App Technologies, and this was the exact question that I was pondering 4 years ago as I was actively researching new EV technologies at Ohio State Center for Automotive Research. And now, as an EV owner myself, I can personally attest that owning an EV and charging as a renter is a pain. Even with some charging stations installed, they're typically shared amongst all of the renters within the complex, meaning that fighting for charger access is another complexity added to an already busy schedule. And because of this, property managers throughout the US have realized that in order to attract and retain electric vehicle owners, they must provide assigned charging. But installing this many chargers is cost prohibitive. Right now, a single charge port can cost well over $10,000. with over half the cost going to just upgrading electrical capacity in the building just to deliver power to the chargers. And that's where PlugUp comes in. Our software allows you to install 4 charge ports on a single shared circuit, meaning that for the same electrical capacity in your building, you can quadruple the number of stations that you have. And this is enabled by our backend algorithms that actively manages how much power can be delivered to each EV at any given time. And to make sure that we're charging the right EVs at the right time, we connect directly into your vehicle to gather meaningful statistics, such as when you plug in most, when you unplug, and how much energy you use every day. This allows us to optimize the scheduling of power distribution to each EV and helps us guarantee the most efficient usage of electrical capacity in your building. Not only that, but we want to make sure that we're being as transparent as possible to EV owners. So when you plug in your car, you'll be shown a charging profile that accurately predicts when you're going to reach 100% state of charge. This is an energy management solution for charging that EV owners actually enjoy using. Since product completion in late April, we've generated over $25,000 in revenue already. And we're also in collaboration with some of the top property management firms in the United States, amassing a total pipeline value of over $500,000. But we're not stopping there. We're also targeting major cities throughout the United States that require the installation of charging during the construction phase of these projects. This includes cities like Chicago, DC, Miami, and even right here in Columbus, Ohio. At PlugUp, we're redefining what electric vehicle ownership is like for renters. And we're doing this by providing solutions to property managers to create the best charging experience possible that's also profitable to the property managers. So if you're a renter that wants to have EV charging in your property, or you're a property owner that wants to see how charging can benefit your business, feel free to check us out online or backstage over there. Thank you. And we're going to welcome Bob Wiggins from Rev1, who's been one of our great advisors up to this point.
Oh, Corey. Nice job.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you again for joining us for this. You've been with us since pretty much day one, so it's awesome to have you here at such a pivotal milestone for our team.
I've been on helping you since before electricity.
Pretty much.
So I've been, I mean, you read the news, there's a gob of federal money that's going into green initiatives broadly and specifically into EV adoption. Talk a little bit about how that's going to affect charging stations and how PlugUp might be well positioned to take advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's literally billions of federal funding available for the improvement of charging infrastructure throughout the United States. And a lot of this would go to solutions like our own as well. So we're definitely taking advantage of that. And just recently, we applied for a federal funding opportunity to deploy these solutions throughout underserved communities throughout Central Ohio. So absolutely taking advantage of those, and especially for these ones locally, it gives us a unique opportunity to work with local organizations. So for this funding opportunity, we're partnering with Ohio State Center for Automotive Research, also the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, and Clean Fuels Ohio. So absolutely, and we're going to continue to look after these as they continue to roll out.
Nice. It's nice when there's a pile of money that you
absolutely
have a chance to go after. So one of the things that people kind of worry about with respect to EV adoption is as that becomes more ubiquitous, what's the impact that's going to have on the electric grid? And I guess I'd like to hear what you think about that, and then also how PlugUp might help solve, or at least help make that less of a big problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the very many myths out there around electric vehicles is how is this going to impact the grid long term as EV adoption continues? And it's certainly true. Electric vehicle charging is going to impact the grid for 2 key reasons. One, it just requires more power. A single level 2 charging station effectively doubles how much power a single individual would use for their household. So just more power. And then number 2, it's more difficult because charging is unpredictable. How do you know when people are going to be using that energy and plugging in their vehicles? So it's harder for grid utilities to predict when and how to distribute that power. But we really see PlugOp and other solutions out there to bridge that gap and help be solutions to improve grid reliability long-term as EV adoption continues. And we're doing that, one, by just reducing the amount of power that buildings need to supply charging. In our case, because we're installing 4 chargers on a single circuit, that's literally by a factor of 4 reducing power requirements. And furthermore, the long-term vision for what I see PlugOp becoming is providing meaningful data back to utility companies about when people are going to be using power for charging, and how they can improve the way that they distribute that energy. So
Really nice, really nice. And nice job too, Corey.
thank you so much, Bob. Glad to have you here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chances are you know someone who struggles with dementia, and you already witnessed the suffering and the helplessness it brings along with it. These patients' inability to communicate, to remember, and even to recognize loved ones often leads to intense anger and frustration. Agitation attacks are frequent and are causing significant distress for the caregivers and for the families. And unfortunately, the typical treatment for this symptom involves risky antipsychotic drugs, many of which carry severe side effects. There are more than 7 million dementia patients aged 65 and over in the US alone, and this number is expected to rise to 9 million in the next 5 years. As this number continues to grow, effective therapy has lagged behind. My name is Amit Sternberg. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I'm a classical pianist. And together with Noam, my co-founder, we've created Rubato, an AI-based music therapy that helps dementia and Alzheimer patients better cope with agitation attacks and with other behavioral disturbances. Studies have shown that personal music can help manage agitation and reduce the need for antipsychotics. However, dementia patients struggle to verbally communicate their preference or to show clear facial reactions, makes it very hard to understand which music is effective for them. Rubato scientifically determines and quantifies how music affects an individual. Using just a standard wristband and Spotify account, Rubato learns how musical attributes create distinct biological response for each of the listeners. Our machine learning algorithm matches musical attributes such as key, tempo, modality, and structure to cardiac indications such as heart rate and stress level. It then creates a model for each of the patients that can recommend a limited number of personalized playlists for him to calm him down. We just finished more than 8-month pilot in 2 skilled nursing facilities, and we were able to show efficacy of more than 25% stress reduction before and after each session, as well as significant reduction in antipsychotics use. Rubato's intervention was found to be fully reimbursed by Medicare Part B, and our monthly membership fee includes a limited number of musical sessions, as well as access to our data dashboard. We all know intuitively that music has the power to heal. Rubato's mission is to turn music, first time ever, into a prescribed and reimbursed therapy, helping patients in need across various of clinical conditions in both regulated and non-regulated markets. Today, I'm really thrilled to announce that we were able to reach an agreement with Ensign, which is one of the nation's biggest skilled nursing facility chain, to administer Rubato as part of a new behavioral program in California. This deal will push our monthly recurring revenues to more than $20,000 a month. Thank you. And more importantly, we will be serving more than 250 dementia patients. I invite each one of you who want to join our journey in transforming care for dementia patients and building a better world for them to talk to me right after in my desk there. Thank you very much for listening. And I invite our great mentor, Ryan Friedrich, to join me on stage.
I almost wore the same outfit as Daniel from Centius. I'm glad I didn't, because that would have been super awkward.
Ryan, thank you for being our Q&A and helping us through the way.
Great to see you. You mentioned the Ensign deal. How many more Ensign deals are out there? How big is the market we're talking about for this?
Well, it's a huge market. Let me ask you back. How many dementia patients do you know or familiar in your life?
4 or 5, probably.
And unfortunately, that's the number of most people know. Unfortunately, number of dementia patients is set to grow rapidly, mainly due to a baby boom that happened after Second World War, which now is mature. But for Rubato specifically, dementia patients are a beachhead market. We chose this market, but our technology is applicable to many more clinical conditions, diabetes and heart disease and many others. So for us, we believe it's a huge market and we plan to build a very big company. We plan to be the first data-driven music therapy in the world.
Yeah, you can whoop and clap, absolutely. That's one of the things that's been great about the program is the founders are cheering and rooting for each other at an incredible level. So kudos to all of you for doing that. Yeah. So how do you know this works? What clinical evidence, efficacy do you have that proves that this actually makes a difference and adds value for the patients and the care providers?
Yeah, so the reason music therapy has stayed so sort of saying in the more spiritual world is the lack of science and proof and evidence and clinical trials. And that's the reason why from the inspection of the company, we chose to build it very rigorously in terms of science. So we have 2 clinical studies going on with Boston University, one with dementia patient, obviously, but one with cancer patient, building the next market for us. And results are amazing, by the way. We are about to publish the first study in 3 weeks, showing tremendous results. And we also have collaboration with one university, one of the best teams in the States for research of personal music and dementia patients. So we know it works and we have the numbers.
Great. You've been, I know when we've connected during the program, you've been at conferences, you've been in California, you've sort of been traversing the country. What have you learned? What have you progressed? How have you benefited from being in the Techstars program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we entered the program, we knew that we had the market fit. We were talking with the customers. We knew we had good market fit there and the need is there, but we didn't know how to sell and how to offer. And I think the main value for us in the program was the strategic sales discussion, which you were leading in a way, and other mentors, which helped us shape the messaging, understand who we should be talking with, a new website from scratch that we built through the program. And eventually, I think it's very clear the outcomes came very quickly as we are now scaling up our sales.
Awesome. Go talk to Emmett Rubato back in the corner when you have time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ryan.
Every day, a catchy 20-second clip of a song will go viral on TikTok. Everybody will recognize it, but most won't be able to name the artist behind it. We worked with an artist who had a track that was listened to millions of times on TikTok, and they saw almost no meaningful royalties from it. The same problem exists on Spotify. If your track gets 1 million streams, that isn't even enough for you to buy a nice guitar. So artists are trying desperately to turn their passive listeners into fans. Even better, super fans. Superfans are the ones who are going to concerts, they're buying merch, and they're active in artist communities. This is how most artists actually make a living on their work. Most of the time, though, they don't even know who's listening to their music or sitting in the seats at their shows. So it's difficult for them to actually build relationships with their fans. I'm Will, and I built Superfan into a vibrant community where over 250,000 music fans are actively engaging today. Almost every user on the app found it because a friend sent it to them or they saw a post about it online. It has grown completely organically since it launched only 18 months ago. Users check the app religiously every week to see what their friends are listening to and to share it in their group chats. They can see which of their friends listen to the saddest songs or the most mainstream music. And there's an AI on the app that roasts you for what you listen to. Today, we're launching the biggest new feature to date, Artist Spaces. We're opening up the app for artists to be able to engage directly with their most passionate fans, solving a major problem for them while creating a magical experience for the fans on the app. Artists can finally see who is listening to their music, and they can curate exclusive experiences for them. So imagine you just discover a new band. In that weekend, they send you a personalized message, thanking you for engaging with their work and telling you what they stand for as a band. They give you early access to their concert tickets, discounts on their merch, and they share an unreleased track with you. These experiences drive fans up the ladder of fandom so they engage with you in more meaningful ways and build lifelong connections. We're launching Artist Spaces in collaboration with 5 bands that we love, and it will be available to all soon. Superfan is where the world's most engaged music fans are already building communities today. By giving artists access to these communities, we're empowering them to cultivate their fan base in a way that wasn't possible before. We're turning passive listeners into lifelong fans that truly support the artists and ensure their success. So if you're a passionate music fan or an artist looking to break out, join us on Superfan. I'd like to welcome my good friend Richard up to the stage.
Congratulations, well done.
Richard, thank you for being here. It is surreal to be here with you because you were the first user on the app.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I remember like it was yesterday, like you came to a dinner party and this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, guess what? I just made an app over the weekend. It's called Superfan. And I was like, over the weekend? But, you know, 18 months and first of all, 250,000 users later, can we get another round of applause for that? I mean, I've watched this journey since its inception. And I've heard countless stories. Yeah, I've got to ask, like, are there any that stick out in particular?
Yeah, some crazy moments of growth. 2 that I'm thinking of. There was a time last year that a user took content from the app and they posted it on TikTok and it went crazy viral. For the whole day, we were seeing 70 new users join every minute.
Wow.
And it was just insane to like deal with that level of growth and have to keep the servers online. Another moment, more recently, I was up in the mountains on a backpacking trip for a night, and I come back to find out that the app had been down, and I had 450 emails from users asking when it was going to be back up and complaining. And to just see that level of love and support for the app is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, like when you mentioned those 450 requests when it was down, I immediately think about how Superfan has superfans. I feel like every time I was at a coffee shop with you co-working, you were always talking about a new request for a feature. And I may or may not be guilty personally of texting you and saying, hey, wouldn't this be cool? But yeah, are there any really cool features that you're getting requests for that you're thinking about?
Yeah, so I get a lot of requests. 2 that, a couple common themes. A lot of people want an Apple Music integration and an Android app. We have a wait list for each of those with thousands of people on it. So I think those will unlock really cool growth opportunities for us later this year.
Awesome. And lastly, when I think about the inception of Superfan, I think about how you yourself are a music lover, whether you're going to concerts or waiting on album releases. I feel like you've always been in tune with like music trends and the industry, and with your whole life being consumed by Superfan over the last 18 months, you're only more ingrained in the industry and trends. Are there any out there that really excite you for the Superfan and like the industry in general? Yeah. One recently this past year, there are a ton of Swifties on the app, and Taylor Swift and Olivia Rodrigo had some big tours this year. One of the coolest trends that I saw during those, they were actually able to tour with some smaller artists and pull some smaller names along with them, and names like Chapel Roan and Rome and Remy Wolf and stuff, absolutely blowing up on the app. And it's really cool to be able to see like early on in the data on the app, we can identify some of these trends. And yeah, obviously it's really cool just to watch the success of newer artists. Yeah, well, Will, thank you so much for having me. Everyone go download Superfan and check out your vibe of the week. We'll give it up for Will one more time. Thank you, thank you.
In the 1970s, it was widely believed that men had a better natural ability for math compared to women. In studies across the nation, boys consistently outperformed girls on math problems, regardless of age or background. Girls just don't have the knack for math. This seemed to be not just a folk belief, but a truth backed by rigorous research. The problem with this research was that it never looked beyond America. It's been 50 years, but almost everything we know about people is still shaped by research done on Americans. In fact, 96% of all human behavioral data comes from the US and a handful of other wealthy industrialized societies. If you ask a researcher why, they will tell you because collecting data outside America is a pain in the ass. It is very slow. It's super expensive. Then how do you even pay people? And how do you even ask your questions if they don't speak the same language? So in a world where Africa, Asia, and Latin America are already home to 6 billion people, we only know how to collect data from a tiny slice of humanity living here in the United States. My own PhD research and my background in tech helped me see a solution. I'm Elena, founder of B-Sample, a data marketplace that empowers research beyond the West. With my co-founders and an amazing team of experts, we're applying crowdsourcing technology to match researchers with real and relevant people across 42 diverse world countries. There are 4 know-hows that make B-Sample unique. We use messenger apps like WhatsApp and Telegram because it helps us acquire people anywhere in the world. We leverage AI to vet those people. We use gamification to keep them engaged, and we partner with local fintech to reward them. Today, B-Sample has engaged over 83,000 people worldwide in behavioral market and healthcare research. Our data collection model has empowered not only academic institutions like Harvard and Yale, but also market research leaders like Accenture. The slide behind me says that 395 researchers are currently collecting data on B-Sample. In fact, this morning we hit 400. Nice round number. One of our earliest adopters, Shelby, just published the first peer-reviewed paper based on B-Sample data. She looks at the relationship between anxiety and childhood attachment in Brazil, Nigeria, and India. Actually, it is a very well-known association, yet no one had looked at it in people outside the US ever before. And recall, the same was the case 50 years ago for math ability in men and women. It wasn't until recently that researchers finally went beyond the US and studied how boys and girls did math in Chile, United Arab Emirates, and South Korea. What they found was that girls in these countries performed equally well and oftentimes even better than boys. Math ability had little to do with inherent sex differences. It had more to do with how boys and girls were educated here in the US. Knowing the truth about people doesn't have to take 50 years or cost millions of dollars. We're closer than ever to knowing whatever we want to know about human beings within days at a fraction of a cost. I invite you to support B-Sample in building this future together. And on that note, I want to invite Nomiki Petrola, our mentor here at Techstars, and what is especially important to me, also a mom of 4. Thank you for being here to support us tonight.
I'm so thrilled. Did you see that adorable baby early on?
Yeah. Me? Oh, I see him every day. So yeah,
Baby
the baby in the intro is my baby. Yes,
Darwin?
the youngest Techstars resident ever. Woo!
Darwin was here starting at 3 weeks of age. So I think we owe Techstars a major round of applause for supporting moms and giving access to this type of talent. So thank you, Techstars.
Yes, I'm tremendously grateful for Techstars. I think if we want more female entrepreneurs, which I think everyone wants more, we have to be supportive of mom entrepreneurs. I also want to extend my gratefulness to my amazing husband, Mikhail, who was backing me up all this time with the other 3.
Yes. Hell yes to the support system. Okay, so let's talk about the product. You've come a long way in the past 12 weeks, and something new popped out. You said that you're leveraging AI, and many of the teams here are doing so, but this is the first time I'm hearing it from you. So tell me, how are you leveraging AI to get more quality respondents?
So yes, this is one of the things we actually deployed during Techstars. Techstars helped us deploy much of the stuff that we had been sitting on for months. So when it comes to online research, data quality is important because it is easy to fraudster online. So people can pretend they're not where they are or like register multiple accounts. Where in fact it is one person. So what we're doing, we have trained a model that uses the rich signal about what the person does early on the platform, how they answer questions and how they behave, like where they come from, to predict and assess their quality. We call it fidelity. And in fact, like the AI part is kind of funny because we trained large language models to tell apart human-generated text from ChatGPT-generated text. So it's like AI holding AI accountable.
AI testing AI.
Yeah.
That's too good. And in your experience here at Techstars, you've also reached some major milestones in just our few conversations and mentoring and going through your product development. It seems like you've hit some major milestones. Can you give us a little bit of a picture of what you've done?
Yeah, well, first of all, we just literally grew twice. We doubled our user base and the active user base. We also were able to ship a few updates that we, as I said, had been sitting on. So Techstars is actually the word accelerator exists for a reason. It actually accelerates you. And then what else? I'd say the biggest part that we learned at Techstars was the ability to focus and prioritize. So rather than trying to pretend that we're like a company that got it all, we're like, yes, we're just a 15-month-old startup. So we're like delivering the core value to our users and nothing else so far.
Well, let's hone in on that for a second, because when I first met you, we were talking about the market size of academic researchers. And when you first started telling me about that, I wasn't sure, like, how big is that market and can you go after it? So tell us more about your market and how you're focusing in on them to give them more quality respondents and data, and then how you're going to grow afterwards.
Right. So that's a question we get a lot, especially from investors. They're like, oh, is academia a big enough market? And I feel my mission is to educate people that yes, it is. So if you look at the social behavioral life sciences, it is a $30 billion market. The more immediate opportunity of social behavioral economic research is actually $4 billion. So great to start with. Our product feels like easily extendable to market research and healthcare analytics. We are seeing that with Accenture already. But one thing we learned at Techstars, and personally from Miki, is that the narrower the use case at the beginning, the better. So we're laser focused on the case that we're delivering for academic researchers right now.
Yes, and your team has precisioned your way all the way through. So give it applause for Elena and her team.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are at the end of our programming. Give it up one more time for every single founder who is up here today. My team, Danny, Gabby, Mary, They are the ones who made today happen more than any other group of people here today. So give them one more round of applause. Okay, a few things to note before we dispense with the formalities and everyone gets to go have a good time. One, go find the founders. Their tables are in the back. They will be there or they'll be around. Please go find them and go and share all of the exciting things that you have to talk about in terms of their business, how you want to help them, etc. Second, we are here until 9 p.m. There are drinks, there's going to be food. I think we're going to open up this side door here to the patio outside, assuming it's not raining. It looks super sunny. So please go out and enjoy time out there as well. Also, this is not the last program, it's just the first. We have another program starting in September. So 2 asks that I have of everybody here. One, if you're interested in supporting the next class of Techstars Columbus founders, please come find me or someone on my team and talk to us about how you could potentially support them. Second is we are always looking for amazing companies. So if you know of folks that you think would be amazing on stage here, just like the 12 other companies that were just up here, also come find us, let us know, send us emails, etc. Outside of that, I don't think I've missed anything. Have I missed anything? Yes. Last thing is all the founders, please come up to the stage for a group photo. Otherwise, have fun. Thank you so, so much for being here. We slated everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Vehicle looks great.
Yeah, yeah.